YouTube. This video, we got MTV Cribs was extremely fake. Here's the evidence, bro. So you telling me when I was watching that Bow Wow episode, bro, of the MTV Cribs, you telling me that wasn't his house? You telling me that wasn't his mansion with all them cars, bro? You telling me that was MTV renting that out this whole time, bro? That shit, bro, the entertainment industry is crazy. That is crazy, man. But let's get into this video.
50 cents Ferraris, they were rented. Robbie Williams' castle home, it belonged to someone else. MTV Cribs wasn't exactly legit.
And we said that that was my house.
Oh, that wasn't your house?
No, it's all lies.
Wow.
And nothing shows this better than the episode with Ja Rule. He flexed his 5-bedroom mansion on Star Island in Miami, where he talked about living beside other famous celebrities. The house was so familiar that Ja Rule talked about living beside other famous celebrities.
Nigga Diddy right here. What the fuck?
The house was so familiar that Ja Rule named each area, calling his courtyard the Open Paradise, which was patrolled by his guard dog Cookie. It was shown in the intro that the property was a rental, but this was assumed to be on a long-term basis, given he knew almost everything about the mansion. However, as it turns out, Ja Rule's house on Cribs was actually a 4-day rental, which was exposed in the most embarrassing way by lawsuit. Ja Rule paid $46,000 for the 4-day lease, promising the mansion's owner it'd be used as a private home for 8 adults with no video shoots and no loud parties. Well, Ja Rule broke all 3 conditions, shooting his MTV episode whilst having a party with over 600 people. In the process, holes were punched in the walls, furniture and doors were damaged, the driveway somehow cracked, while condoms and syringes were left throughout the house.
Ooh.
As a result, Ja Rule and MTV were sued for $1 million, but at least it looked like a house that Ja Rule would live in, as the Yin Yang Twins' crib was laughably out of character. The Atlanta gangster rapping duo opened the door revealing the most suburban house, filled with fish tanks, sailing boats, and sea-related artwork.
We waving like the sea. We decorated this ourselves now.
That mansion was definitely decorated by some old white people, not the Yin Yang Twins.
This is clearly just a random old white guy's house that likes to fish and likes boats.
They'd even argue over where they bought appliances and had to improvise names for each of the fish. You can tell the Yin Yang Twins have never been in that house. It seemed they at least owned the vehicles at the end, as the cars displayed by Bow Wow were rented.
Now this right here shocked me. I did it like I really thought this was his house right here, bro. I really did, bro. That's crazy. All these years, I thought that was Lil Bow Wow's house, bro.
They at least owned the vehicles at the end, as the cars displayed by Bow Wow were rented for the show. He was just 18 years old during his first Cribs appearance, but despite having starred in some high-profile movies, it seemed unrealistic that he could afford a 6-bedroom mansion and a fleet of luxury cars. With his name airbrushed above his bed, it seemed as though Bow Wow at least owned the house, although the luxury vehicles were a little more suspicious. Because 2 years later,
that's really what gave it away.
Again, during which a viewer made an observation.
Cause you gotta think, bro. At the time, bro, Lil Bow Wow was really known as an actress, bro. Like at the time, he was really known as a big actress. So it's like it's possible for him to have this mansion, but like all these cars, that's gotta be cap, bro. Like for him to have all them cars, it's just that was kind of suspicious right there, bro. Cause there's no way this 18-year-old. I mean, he might have been a millionaire at the time. Who knows, bro? But there's no way this 18-year-old has all these cars, bro. All of these cars, bro? Nah, bro. Because I feel like at 18, you don't care about having all them goddamn cars. At 18, you might have one or two. But this, bro, they had like 4 or 5 cars in the driveway, bro. Like, that's cap, bro.
We had MTV Cribs
now looking at it, bro.
And watched 21-year-old Bow Wow show off his bachelor pad in Miami, along with his pimped out Bentley, Lamborghini, and Cadillac Escalade. But then we noticed the word Prestige at the bottom of all 3 cars, and decided to Google Prestige Rental Cars Miami, and what do you know, there it was. Prestige was the name of the company that Bow Wow rented the cars from, which was likely encouraged by the show, as Birdman also used the service during his appearance. Regardless, people clowned found on Bow Wow stating, "Ha ha ha, I wonder if he rented the condo too," which by looking at his life was also highly likely. For example, he'd post his Ferrari to his Instagram, writing, "Take the drop top to the night spot. Keep the California in California. We went hard tonight, Grammy weekend," which was then reposted by a car rental company who accidentally exposed our good friend Bow Wow pulling up to the Grammys with our Ferrari California.
Yo!
1 year later, he was exposed for flexing a rented Hollywood mansion, but the worst example was in 2017 when he'd post this to his Instagram. He showed the private jet he was taking to his concert, yet the very same day this Snapchat went viral. So this guy Lil Bow Wow is on my flight to NY, but on Instagram he posted a picture of a private jet caption traveling to NY today, shaking my head. Turns out Bow Wow's picture of his private jet.
Told y'all, man, some of these celebrities, some of them be living fake lives, bro. I feel like it is a handful that's really like, you know, that's rich and living that rich life, bro. But some of them are just really, they just flaunting to y'all on Instagram, bro. They want you to believe that, but they really not living like that. I'm gonna be honest with you, they really not living like that, bro. That's what some of y'all gotta understand, bro. Some of this is really just for entertainment, like the MTV shit with Lil Bow Wow with all of them cars. Me growing up and rewatching it, I'm realizing like this shit is not real. It's no way.
Today, shaking my head. Turns out
it really
Bow
be
Wow's
for entertainment,
picture of his
bro.
Private jet had been taken from a limo company's website, prompting people to dig even deeper, discovering he'd done this on more than one occasion. It seems his MTV Cribs episode led to years and years of faking luxury, but as mentioned in Bow Wow's expose, 50 Cent had done a similar thing. 50 Cent's episode was the definition of excess. He showed his 19-bedroom, 35-bathroom mansion, which included a squash court, movie theater, recording studio, and its very own nightclub. Equally impressive was his car collection, which included 4 different rare collectible Ferraris, leading him to state,
"I know you didn't see these before when you was watching Cribs because everybody ain't got these."
Yet it seems 50 Cent didn't have them either. Each Ferrari had little numbers on their windshields, leading to a forum post reading, "If you notice the small white numbers in the top left-hand corner of the windshields on the F50 and Enzo, those are the numbers of the cars that were in the Hartford Concorso parade," which was confirmed when the user posted these photos.
Wow.
Another forum member added, "It's pretty obvious that they aren't his, because it's a known fact that there's only one yellow Enzo in CT, which was owned by a pretty well-known hedge fund manager." Well, someone else then officially confirmed. The Ferraris are unfortunately not 50 Cent's. He invited my friend over to his house for this, and my friend let him use his cars for the episode, and they were filming some music videos that day as well. The Enzo F50 and 599 all belonged to one owner. When 50 Cent later filed for bankruptcy, he'd admit the cars were rented. He'd instead pay off debts by selling his mansion, therefore joining the likes of JoJo, who admitted to doing MTV Cribs while she was actually homeless. JoJo showed MTV through her Cape Cod vacation home, where she supposedly loved spending her summers. It was therefore a little weird that she'd invite her extended family, but she'd reveal the reason for this exactly 10 years later. JoJo was asked about the episode in a Huffington Post interview, to which she'd respond it was so ridiculous. The thing is, we didn't have a home at that point. My mum and I were living out of suitcases and were mostly in hotels. So that was actually my uncle's house on the Cape. That wasn't my house, that wasn't my stuff. I should have balled hard and been like, "Welcome to my crib, look at how luxurious it is," and I should have rented out a place. But no, I just used my uncle's crib. JoJo further clarified.
That's crazy.
So we went to the Cape, which I've like never been to the Cape. I like never go to the Cape. And we said that that was my house.
Oh, that wasn't your house?
No, that was not my house. We brought in some like items that I had. It's all lies.
Should also answer.
Yo, MTV, y'all got exposed big time. Oh my goodness. Oh my God, y'all got exposed big time, bro. People actually did their research, bro. And y'all got exposed. Oh my God. Holy shit, bro. Oh my gosh. Y'all... This is crazy, bro.
Oh, that was not my house. We brought in some like items that I had. It's It's all lies.
This shit is
Should
wild.
also answer the question,
Why even bother doing the episode then?
For the exposure. Oh, okay.
but no episode was faker than the one by Robbie Williams. He showed MTV his massive British castle, talking about the spots where he'd been snapped by paparazzi. He then shows his group of friends before making a joke.
I don't really know these people, but what I do is I actually phone Rent-A-Friend.
But apparently he'd also phoned Rent-A-Castle. You see, the building was so big that people recognized it as the famous St. Catherine's Court, which was owned by someone else completely, Jane Seymour. She had no idea that Robbie ever went there, or that he'd hired a fake butler to help out with the shoot. It wouldn't be until 17 years later that Robbie finally admitted, "We didn't let Jane know that I was gonna pretend it was my house. And because I was like 23 and full of spunk, I didn't even consider other people's thoughts or feelings. So I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to Jane Seymour, but it might not have even been Robbie Williams' fault."
Wow.
Because Redman explained in a DJ Vlad interview that MTV tried to get him to rent a house for cribs,
They wanted me to rent a house so I can open the big double doors and shit like, yo, look at my shit, you know.
with MTV trying to choose the home themselves.
The first thing they said was, all right, we got a couple of houses picked out for you. Wow. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, Redman simply refused,
And I said, you know what? No, I don't want to rent a house. I want y'all to come to my house.
accidentally making the show's most relatable episode. He brought MTV cribs to his 2-bedroom apartment, where he ironed his shirts on the floor and flexed his frozen fish fillets. Redman's recording studio was just a messy bedroom, whilst the rest of his house was in such disarray, you could barely notice his cousin sleeping on the ground. He concludes the episode stating, "Next time y'all need to find me, just rub these 2 wires for the doorbell."
Don't worry about
What
the
the
screen,
fuck?
too. You know, it's still good.
The realest episode of MTV Cribs.
That
Redman
is the
didn't
realest
fake it
one.
like
That's
other
crazy, bro.
celebrities.
Y'all got a girl that was actually just homeless. A girl that was actually homeless, bro. Y'all got her showing off like she used to live in a mansion, bro. That is crazy, MTV. Y'all got exposed badly, bro. This is a big time expose right here. Like, this is bad, bro. This is bad. But I'm going to see y'all next video, and I'm out, man. Peace.